evening, everybody. It's Denver Bronco Roundup. It's Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Of course, it's the Denver Bronco Roundup. Appreciate everyone jumping in here. Got a great show planned for you guys tonight, and really appreciate everyone jumping in. Looks like we already got people coming in the comments. I'm just going to let things queue up just a little bit and let everyone jump in, kind of get part of the stream. Looks like we got people jumping in already. Might as well welcome in my co-hosts for this evening, your regular co-hosts. Might as well jump in Mr. Albert Knoppers and Mr. Jody Moncrief. Gentlemen, welcome to Broncos country.
Welcome.
Good evening, all.
Man, it's been a week, man. It's amazing. I keep talking about it week after week after week. I'm still shocked at how active we are, how vocal we are this off season. Everything that's been going on. It's certainly one of those off seasons where you're not worried about what's going. Is anything happening? Is anything going on with my team? Are they going to make any moves at all? Is anybody going to speak to us? We've had plenty of opportunities, and what a great offseason so far, man. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked about the show. I'm stoked and ready to go, man. I'm set up for it, and I hope you guys are too. So
absolutely, and it's going to be a good show.
It's going to be a great show, man. Albert's got his nod going on. Jody reminds me always of like Ian Rappaport or someone like that, James Palmer or something like that. He's always got his head down in his phone, always doing last minute research. I appreciate a guy like that, man. I appreciate you. And appreciate guys like this. Michael Ronquillo coming in saying, good evening, Keith, Jody, and Albert. Good evening to you, Michael. Appreciate you joining us in on Facebook. David Slade coming in saying, let's go! It's about as good as I'm going to get my David Slade impersonation. We'll have to get David Slade on here at some point. Used to do a show with him back in the day. Loved it. And I'd love to have him on. So, David, if you're out there, just keep that in mind. Got Facebook user coming in. By the way, if you don't mind, either allow StreamYard or just drop your name in the comments. Love to give you a shout out personally. But evening, gents. Evening to you. We are killing it. DB Poncho Man. So DB Poncho Man, appreciate it. I think we are killing it, man. We are out there. We're in full force as the Denver Broncos have really taken hold of this offseason. Almost unlike any other team out there in the NFL this year. So. Wow, look at this. Look at these legends. Let's go. It's Kenny. Well, appreciate it. Kenny over on the K&K Sports Show. Check those guys out. They do all sports. And they're easily found on Facebook, YouTube, and the like. Just search up K&K Sports. Hey, you might even see like a Jody Moncrief on there from time to time, too. That happens. And then we also got Michelle Knoppers jumping in here.
I know her.
You may know her. I hope you know her. You better know her, buddy. You'll be in big trouble, man. I'll tell you right now. So we also got Angela from Philly. So, Angela, I think you're new to our show. Appreciate you jumping in here. And
welcome.
Welcome. Appreciate everyone jumping in. Like I said, big show plan, gentlemen. First off, just a big thank you to Rocky Mountain Sports Network. That's who we're presented by, who we're brought to you by. A lot of stuff going over on our Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check them out. All your news, notes, highlights for all your Colorado sports. Some rumors in there, even some from time to time. And always good dialogue. They're always got stuff going on. So check them out, Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Gentlemen, I talked about it. Like I said, I'm super excited. There's a lot of ways you could describe the Broncos offseason. Albert, give me your one-word description of the Broncos offseason, and then, of course, you can elaborate on why you gave that one-word description.
One-word description. Excellent.
Excellent.
They couldn't have done much better than maybe pay some top dollar for persons, like a top dollar for a center or something like that. But what they have done with the resources they had, they did excellent.
Excellent.
I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. I think most of Broncos country and Denver Bronco Roundup fans out there would agree with you. Jody, how would you describe in one word the Denver Broncos offseason?
Aggressive.
Aggressive, yeah. And explain yourself, man. Why? In which ways have we been aggressive? Because there's a lot of different ways you could say we've been aggressive in this offseason.
As soon as legal tampering hit, right away we went out and signed 2 offensive linemen, probably the 2 biggest names at their position, Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey. Maybe overpaid for Mike McGlinchey, but we needed to do what we needed to do to get him. And kept spending throughout the day. Went and paid Zach Allen big money, and then kept picking up players, every day. So we were just, we didn't sit back and we're going to see what Russ can do or whatever. We're going to give Russ the tools to succeed, and we're in win now mode with the amount of money we spent. We're definitely not in rebuild.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I was trying to think of one for myself, but I didn't. Just to kind of get in, we usually say, "How's your week been?" and the whole 9 yards. My week has been an unfun week, and that's why I love coming here, guys, because this gets rid of the unfun week for an hour, and sometimes, as Jody likes to make fun of me, sometimes 2 hours as we've went at times. So we'll try to keep it a little bit shorter than that, but. Man, real life was kicking my butt. Had a little bit of stomach bug yesterday. Work has just been, had some people that have been out with medical issues, and one on a spring break, and one just turned in their keys kind of unexpectedly. So, my just to let you know, and I know I'll digress after this, get out of my week, but it's been a week. For the Broncos this offseason, one word. Oh boy. Powerful. I think they went out there and they made powerful moves from beginning to end. Whether you talk about going out there and getting Sean Payton, everyone was saying, hey, did we pay too much? Is he the right guy? There's all these questions. If you're looking to fix an offense in the NFL and Sean Payton is out there, you go get Sean Payton. We did a fantastic job. So we've been powerful in everything we've done. Powerful from a coaching standpoint, from a staffing standpoint, heck, even dating back to our ownership, but even now as we've moved into, as Jody even pointed out, our moves in the offseason as well. Powerful from the get-go, didn't waste any time, didn't waste any dollars as far as how much they wanted to spend. So powerful. Powerful would be my description. I'm going to get back and hit David Slade, because he hit us pretty early, and I love to get comments rolling and get people answered. I'll jump this over to Jody. Jody, best signing so far in your opinion for David Slade?
Ben Powers. I got a 1 and a 1A. Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey. We've been saying all off season, excuse me, that we needed to upgrade this O-line, and yep. Sean Payton, that was the first thing he said when he was hired is, we're going to address this O-line, and that's the first thing they did. They went out right away, and as soon as legal tampering hit it, 10 Eastern, Ben Powers was signed to a big deal, and then
yep.
Within probably the hour, Mike McGlinchey was next. They really addressed this O-line, what they needed to, and really shored it up.
Fast, furious, I would say even powerful.
Yeah.
Albert, your favorite signing?
My favorite signing, Sean Payton. Because without Sean Payton, this would not have happened. So, and I know he is not a player, but he made this all happen. He had he built a good relationship with the owners, with Patton, and so yeah, because of him, we are where we are right now.
That's a great point. I talked about it. How, when Peyton Manning came here, how he was able to attract other talent, and how, though it's Sean Payton and it's a head coach, how that would be different than some of the other candidates that we looked at, that we were potentially bringing in, and how Sean Payton could be a draw and bring more people in. Great point, because I would have to agree with you. I don't think you get everything that you've gotten this offseason without having that first piece in place, and that first piece was Sean Payton. great point, Albert. I'll go back to the players side of things.
I have one more. The owner.
Jeez, you've already had two.
Sorry. You got to give
1A, 1B, and now we've got C, D, E, and F. No, I'm just kidding. No, go ahead.
Is the owners. Without the richest owners in the NFL, we're not going on the spending spree. We didn't have a lot of cap money, so we were able to set these signings and these contracts in a way where we could pay cash money to these guys. And I mean, it's nice having the deep pockets.
Yeah,
it really allowed us to spend 235, or it's been a little more now, but that's the last I seen, 235.
Yeah. Last I saw was 235.
The next closest was like 179 or something.
Yeah, something like that. It was pretty substantial in between us and the next. Like you said, some more signings have come through. I think that those statistics or those numbers and those figures might be a few days old. It'd be nice to see some updated, like I said, some updated numbers. But I'm sure we're still out there leading the way.
I think the Broncos at 238 million, and the next closest was the Eagles, I believe, with 185 million in that area.
Okay, the most updated stat we can get you guys. So, Samaje Perine, that's my favorite signing. Javonte Williams is down. They still have Murray out there hanging in the wind. Obviously, when we look at guys like Boone, already signed to another team with the Texans. Marlon Mack, already been released out there to free agency. We don't have a deep running back field at all. I mean, we're really hoping on Javonte Williams. Without Samaje Perine, I always mess up his name, but we would be in a world of hurt, I think, and it'd be sitting in a really bad position, I think, as far as the draft is concerned. So I think now we have some flexibility, and we'll get to the draft a little bit later as well.
Mentioning all those guys, Pirine, Baglici, Powers, they were all on winning teams. So, I mean, we didn't have anybody on this team that, besides really McManus and Russ, that knew what winning was.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's big. They're going to bring a winning culture.
I agree, man. Yeah, you're almost spoiling some of my future thunder, man. But it's all right, man.
Sorry.
No, hey, you're good, man. Like I said, we weren't able to prep like we normally do. It's been a week, but we got some fun stuff still lined up. So Victor jumping in here and say Denver about to be dangerous, and I agree, man. I think everything that I think we have the ability to open everything up with the moves that we've made. That's the difference. If you have a running game, it opens up the passing game. You know what I mean? That's 100% necessity. I guess, and this is something I hadn't even thought about or put into anything into our agenda. The one concern I do have is, does this defense hold up like they did last year? As formidable as they were, they also weren't going up against opponents that need to put up 28, 35 points in order to beat us either. They were needing to put up 18, 19 points in order to beat us. That's not very difficult. So if you get 20 points on the board, you could coast offensively against the Broncos and still win a game. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when the Broncos are going out there and they're putting up 28, 30, 35 points a game. Does this defense still have the strength, the stability to be a top 10, top 5 defense like they were last year most of the year? So
I think with the offense that we have now, if they are a top 10 defense, I think we can make the playoffs. If we have a top 10 offense and top 10 defense, we can make the playoffs, because last year in the end, we ended up being number 10 in the defense, in total defense, I believe.
Yep.
And where we were 31st in offense. 30th,
almost,
30th.
yeah. I think we're 30th, and actually I think we slipped it down to about like 15th over those last 2 games. Though we won one of those games were both high-scoring games in which our defense didn't necessarily show off the best.
The defense
Kansas City and the Chargers are no joke, though, to go up against offensively.
When your defense is on the field.
The defense was tired last year.
They were tired of a lot of things last year, I'm sure.
But if the offense is playing better, they see the field less amount of time. So, like I said, if we both scored in the top 10 and for both offense and defense, we're making the playoffs.
Oh yeah. Obviously, most teams, if you can hit on both of those, if you're in top 10 in both categories, you're playoff bound for sure. You should be. If not something very bad happened, I guess, something unique happened in your division or something to that effect. Matt Staffiero, speaking of the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, we were talking about them early in the show and talking about how you get all your great news, notes, rumors. Great conversation all over on Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check them out. But his favorite signing, he says, was Zach Allen. He says his most impactful was Powers. So kind of in agreement there with Jody on the Powers thing. Favorite, Zach Allen. Zach Allen has a ton of upside. And if you're going to switch out a Draymond Jones, I don't know if you could be any better than a Zach Allen. I like what he brings in the interior rush a little bit better. What he can do to get after the quarterback. I think he, honestly, with his youth and his skill package, I'm excited to see what he brings to the field. So,
I mean, it's always good when they call you baby JJ Watt.
So. Yeah. Say that one more time, Jody. I'm sorry, I might have missed that.
Baby JJ Watt.
Baby JJ Watt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess it could be baby JJ Watt. I think he's his own guy. I always hate when we have to compare everybody to everybody, and it's LeBron Jr., though LeBron has his own kids, so that doesn't necessarily work out. But
that's even what JJ Watt said about Zach Allen.
That's good. Is that what JJ Watt touts his own horn as? I'm not a big JJ Watt fan, if you can't tell, but I digress. Really quick, David Slade, all the pieces are in place. Time for the players to execute. And Matt Staffiero, right after that in our comments, saying, David Slade, no excuses left, time to shine. So, gentlemen, just kind of working through everything I had. Last week, it was kind of funny. I was going over last week's agenda. Our first question that I had for you guys was, were the Broncos going to add another wide receiver in free agency before the draft? I can't remember exactly what our answers ended up being, but we did get an answer to that between now that show and this show. Marquez Callaway was signed between, like I said, last week and this week when we came on the air. Jody, what are your thoughts on Marquez Callaway? And then I'll head over to Albert as well.
I think in 21 he was, a pretty good piece for the Saints. 650 some yards, 6 touchdowns, 45 or 50 catches. So, I mean, he knows this offense. He put up numbers in this offense. So, I think that's going to help bring him in. Another possession guy.
Obviously,
bigger wide receiver, 6'2".
Yeah, big wide receiver, 6'2". That's a good point, man. For me, like as you kind of mentioned, another piece to the puzzle that kind of understands the equation, right? Because he's from a Sean Payton system. We've seen a little bit of that already. We've seen Sean Payton kind of lean on maybe his Saints guys quite a bit. And Marquez Callaway also fits that mold. Albert, what are your thoughts on Marquez Callaway?
Yeah, I think it is a positive thing. Another player that knows the system that Sean Payton is going to use. From what I heard, he is not afraid to block either. So, and we have 2 guys that do not really like to block, and those 2 guys have been rumored to be traded. So Jerry Jeudy and certainly do not like to block. So I think that is another big bonus for this Callaway too.
gives him another advantage going into training camp. You know, he's known, as you said, if he's a known blocker in this scheme for Sean Payton, and Sean Payton said that he looked at the film from last year, and he said nothing good. There was nothing good there, no good. You know what I mean? So was pretty adamant along that line and that thought. So that has to play into what he's seeing from his wide receivers as well. You know, that means that if Sutton and Judy are both on this roster, they have something to prove probably come training camp, as you're alluding to. Where Marquez Callaway does have a leg up in that regard. Let's jump over to Michael Ronquillo. He has a question really quick. He says, thoughts on Sean Payton's comments on quarterback Jarrett Stidham during the NFL meeting in Arizona. The annual league meetings, of course, are happening in Arizona right now as we speak. That's where we're getting a lot of sound bites, as Sean Payton and Greg Penner have both been speaking to the media down there. And regarding Jarrett Stidham, his thought process was, here's a guy who's an up-and-comer, could be a starter in this league. We saw this talent. We wanted him. And much like Jody alluded to, he was a guy that, we went out and we got fairly early and made those moves and got Jarrett Stidham. A lot has been put into those comments of whether this is the plan B as there's unknowns, especially after Russ's season last season, and maybe even a plan B if the season doesn't start off the way it's supposed to. Albert, what are your thoughts on Payton and his comments on Stidham?
So to me, it looks like that Sean Payton finally realizes we finally have now a quarterback of a backup quarterback that can do it, and we did not have those. Brad Rippon was not good enough, and we had Johnson. Yeah, he was below average for a backup. So, and in Sean Payton's eyes, we now have a backup quarterback that is more than average, and as a backup, and he just can fill in as a starter if needed. And that is how I see his responses.
Nothing more. Just a great backup in place in case, heaven forbid, we have like an injury like we did have, obviously, even last year with Russ. Heck, Russ went down with that concussion, if everyone remembers, as well.
Yep.
So, Stidham's a great option, and nothing more, says Albert. Jody, your thoughts on that?
I kind of go with Albert. I take it as it was time to get a backup that if Russ goes down for multiple games or something, or is playing bad, that they can plug in and keep the ball rolling. It's not we have to change everything up and give up on the season.
Yeah.
And he's a younger guy that they like, and I don't think it has anything to do with we're pushing Russ or anything. I mean, everyone knows what the deal is with Russ. It's either produce this year or you're gone.
It is. I would just add one thing, and I don't know if this is something that Michael is alluding to or not, but Russ's contract guarantees next year, I forget what it is. It's something like May or June, might be even March. I don't know. It's somewhere into the next year, unless he's injured. Then he has an injury clause that will go ahead and protect him, and then that guaranteed money comes out. If this season doesn't go as planned, you could see the situation, especially that Stidham ends up being put in, just for the fact that if you want to move on from Russell Wilson, you're not holding the bag for guaranteed money heading into the next year. So that is one piece of the puzzle, and Jarrett Stidham is a good piece. I think he does have the ability to be an up-and-comer in this league. I think he is someone that, is untested, I guess you could say, in the NFL world, but has shown a little bit with what he had before he came to us. So obviously he was a high prospect when he was up in with the Patriots. I might have you mute your mic if you don't mind, Jody. I'm getting some background. Oh, appreciate it, buddy. Did have some background, obviously, and was well thought of up in New England before he was moved on from there. But there is something to be said. I don't think it's anything where it's imminent. I don't think it's anything that we're looking to replace Russell Wilson. But at the same time, if this season doesn't go right, I do think we have an opportunity to see Jarrett Stidham on the field. So,
I agree with that. I've said for a while now, I just think Russ is going to have a great season, and he's going to make it where this isn't a discussion next year. It's going to be how much more can we put around Russ?
Yeah, I agree. It's funny, David Slade is in here almost reading my notes for the show. It's kind of crazy. I have on here, just really quickly off to the side, after this Marquez Callaway signing, I have R. Sutton and Judy both safe. And David Slade comes in and says, they say Sutton and Judy are not going anywhere. Do you possibly see one of them going with the Callaway signing? I'll throw it over to Albert first. What do you think? What would you answer to David Slade? Is are Sutton or Judy still up on the trading block?
I think they are when the right offer comes, and the draft has not been yet. So just before the draft, it can happen. If they get a first rounder for Judy and a second rounder for Sutton, they most likely are gone. So yeah, but after the draft, if they are still if they have not been traded, we will see them play next year.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Jody, your thoughts? The reason I thought you were stealing my thunder at times. One of the things you said is he's a big wide receiver, 6'2". That fits the mold of another big wide receiver we might have on our roster as well. Are both Cortland Sutton and Judy safe, or was that said out of the corner of one's mouth when that was alluded to?
I don't really think anyone is safe, maybe other than Pat Surtain. I mean, they would love to dump Sutton's contract, and if somebody's willing to come and give them what they want, a first round, don't think that they would say no to that. They want wide receivers that are going to block. From all indications, it looks like we're going to be in 12 personnel a lot. And Sean Payton said, we are not going to be a 3 wide receiver slot type team. We weren't that in New Orleans, and that's just not what we are. So I expect a lot of 12 personnel, and I mean, these wide receivers are going to have to block. That's why the Hamler injury going down was kind of a bummer because, I mean, he was a willing blocker. Him and Patrick.
Yeah. That's fair. Even given his size, he was a willing blocker. But yeah, out with a pectoral surgery, as he has a torn pec, out about 6 months. Should be back for the start of the season, but not much before. It doesn't sound like so. Once again, a big setback for KJ Hamler, and unfortunately, a setback for this wide receiving core that we don't ever seem to be able to put together and have on the field and have healthy on any given Sunday or any given day for that matter. So let me see what else I have, man. Okay. I gotta bring this up because at the owners' meetings, I keep calling it the owners' meetings, the annual league meeting down in Arizona, there was a question asked of Sean Payton by a local Denver News affiliate, and they asked him, hey, the narrative of Russ is that he's done, and went on to ask his question, and Sean Payton as Sean Payton might have said, hey, I don't usually throw one of those fastballs tight and inside, but every once in a while I have to. He goes, the narrative of the last season wasn't that Russ has done. He said it was more like, man, what happened? And there's a lot of dirty hands. So I think this is a perfect opportunity. I teased it a little bit when we were when we were in our advertisement for this show. But we do have a couple new segments, and now is the perfect time to debut one of them. So without further ado. Judge Jody, welcome to the bench. Appreciate you. The narrative, is it Russ is done, or is it more that there's a lot of dirty hands? I want you to give your ruling. Is Russ washed, buddy?
Not in the slightest. Russ has a lot of good ball left. Russ humbled himself last year. He tried to play hero ball. He tried to put this team on his back. It didn't work. He tried to play in a way that he's never been successful for. And there were a lot of, from top to bottom, it was just all bad. And Russ is, you can see from pictures, he's already lost weight. He's lost the weight that he put on. He had that little minor scope on his knee that's been bothering him for the last couple of years. It's going to allow him to run a lot more. And I expect Russ to get back to his old form. Russ has said right in the beginning he wanted hard coaching and he wanted Peyton here. This was all set up for him. I mean, so no, I think Russ has still a lot to offer and give.
Well, I appreciate that, Judge. That's well said, man. I think much like was said by Sean Payton, I think there's a lot of dirty hands when you see a performance like you saw last year. Like you said, a lot of people like to judge the quarterback and judge the head coach, but there's a lot of dirty hands in what happens when a team only wins 5 games, and they look like they did last year. So I appreciate your ruling.
If coaching if coaching didn't matter, they wouldn't have went out and spent the kind of money they did to get Sean Payton. They could have, went on the cheap and got, David Shaw, Jim Caldwell, someone like that. But they went out and spent the money on a proven winner, on someone that knows offense, that they think, I don't think it was just a Russ hire, but they can get Russ back to his old form and is going to be a leader. And Russ, we're going to do this. And I don't think Russ is going to complain now, because Russ knows how last year went. He can't have it all his way because it failed.
I got to have you answer. I got David Slade here in the comments, though, Judge. He's saying the jury is still out, and for him, all he's hearing is excuses, excuses, excuses. Are you letting off the plaintiff, I guess it would be at this point, in Russell Wilson, and just allowing his excuses to float the table, or are these legitimate pieces of the crime that have proven him innocent?
I don't want it to sound like excuses, because he owned up to it, or whether he literally come out and said I was fat and overweight last year. I mean, it's obvious he's lost the weight. He went and had the surgery on his knee. He didn't say anything about it. That was leaked because he didn't want it to get out. Everyone's seen Hackett. I mean, week 2, we're already bringing in Rosberg because we can't manage the clock and different things. And I mean, it was just from the top down, it was bad. Russ played bad. He has to take ownership of that, but he's already doing the things to get back to his old ways of, he is not a pocket passer. That's obvious. He's got to be on the move. Yes, he's going to throw from the pocket sometimes, but he is not a straight drop back 40 times, stand in the pocket, not move. We've seen what happened last year. It didn't work.
All right, man. So from what I'm hearing, man, you have the evidence that it certainly wasn't just a Russ thing. Russ may have been slightly implicated in this crime, but he certainly has the ability to be a top-notch quarterback once again, once he's given the right situation, has the right tools around him. and is quite honestly in a better, healthier situation than where he came in last year, whether it be knee or weight or whatever have you. So,
And I'll take the knee, for example. Whether you want to say excuses or not, those are just facts. The knee's been bugging him for the last 2 years, and he needed to get it fixed, got it taken care of, and he's going to come back and be able to move a lot better now because of it.
Kenny coming in, last comment on this is, I don't know, Judge, I think there is a hung jury. And I think there's, for real reasons, there's reasons for that. Our season hasn't started. And quite honestly, we've went down this path before of new head coach or a new quarterback or a new scheme or a new system or whatever have you. We've been down this path a ton as Broncos fans. I understand the wariness. I understand if the jury is still out, but expect to come back, I think, with a strong verdict, according to Judge Jody. I think the Broncos are going to have a good season, and Russ is going to come back strong and prove a lot of people that it was a fluke season within his possibly MVP Hall of Fame career that he's going to possibly have. So, true Hall of Fame. So
now, if Russ had this type of season last year in his scheme and different things, then I would feel totally different. But he was been successful for 12 years doing what he did in Seattle, and then everything changed. It doesn't really matter to me whether it was him or Hackett, whoever just.
Might have lost Jody there for just a second, or at least he froze up on us for just a moment.
Oh, sorry. So, you learn from that and you go back to your old ways. So,
yep.
Now next year, if Peyton's rolling him out and he's bootlegging and he's struggling and he can't move and run and all that, then I'm going to be on he might be washed. But until I see it in his system, I will not say that.
Very good. I'm right there with you, man. I'm sorry, I was reading David Slade saying he's the judge is wearing his orange tinted glasses. I think there's a lot of reasons to feel that way. We're not the only ones in that regard, and I think if you look at the media, there's a lot of kind of quiet optimism around the Denver Broncos and what they could possibly do. There's a lot of reasons to feel that way, and there's a lot of reasons to feel that, especially given the pieces that are in place, that what last year looked like could be the only time we ever see that from Russell Wilson in his Denver Broncos career. So maybe a little orange-tinted glasses, but we don't like to be blue here, man. We like to be happy, man.
I'm okay with that, because until I see if he fails this year, then I will be the first to say that he probably is washed, but I 100% don't expect that.
I'm going to jump up. I got a comment in here, and I appreciate Carson's jumping in here, and he says he's a Ravens fan. So I really appreciate him jumping in and listening to a Broncos podcast. I know this was just a few minutes earlier. Hopefully you're still in the podcast, Carson. But he says, what are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson's situation? Do you think the Ravens will call Lamar's bluff, or do you think Lamar has played his last down as a Raven? Albert, what are your thoughts? Have you been watching the Lamar Jackson saga very much?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is Lamar Jackson does not have a representative for him, and I think that is the biggest problem here. Otherwise, they would already have come to an agreement or a deal or something like that. Right now, Lamar Jackson is trying to get the most out of a contract he can get, and I think the Ravens want him to play nicer with himself, because he's putting himself in a lot of dangerous positions, so he's injured a lot. And if they don't come to an agreement, I think Lamar Jackson has just played his last game.
Very good. I want to get my 2 cents in on this one real quick. I think that's funny, Jody, but you were muted, and then you unmuted and coughed, and now you're muted again. So I appreciate that. That was fantastic. Fantastic podcast. The podcast was fantastic. Just the videography of all that was wonderful. Carson, my my thought, honestly, this is my inside thought. Actually, I might even jump back to another inside thought that we were talking about earlier because I didn't get my 2 cents in on it now that I think about it. But that being said, if if the Ravens keep messing around and Lamar keeps messing around, and honestly, my thoughts are what's going to happen because there's a lot of people messing around out there. There's two other people messing around, or two other groups, and that's the Jets, and that's Aaron Rodgers. And I think if everyone keeps messing around, I could see Lamar Jackson being a New York Jet, in my opinion. I think that makes sense. If you look at where they're drafting, the draft picks they'd have to give up, the trajectory that the Jets are on, he's already demanded a trade as of March 2nd. I think there's so much ill will right now, whether Jim Harbaugh, when he sits down with the annual meetings, wants to admit it or not, he makes it sound like everything's rosy. And you want to talk about orange tinted glasses. Those are, I guess, purple tinted glasses for Baltimore. He had his purple tinted glasses on because everything sounded like Lamar was just going to walk back in tomorrow and everything was just going to be fine. I don't think it's anywhere near that. And I think Lamar very well could have played his last, play with the Baltimore Ravens. And if it's not the Jets, maybe it's the Commanders who might be finalizing a deal for a new ownership as it is here in the near future. Who knows? I can't. It's tough for me to see him walking back in there and playing. I think if anything, if he does play another down, I think it's going to be one of those situations where he sits out most of the season, comes in week 12 and starts, walks into the facility and takes him 2 weeks before he's even considered a starter, and because he doesn't, hasn't practiced and the whole nine, you know what I mean? It could be an ugly situation. So I don't know. Jody, your thoughts?
Well, I think the big thing teams are scared of, one, is giving that contract fully guaranteed that he is, he's hung on right now. And then I think a lot of teams are scared to do all this work, and all the Ravens have to do is just say, we'll match. I mean, you put in all the work to put a deal together, get everything ready to go, and all the Ravens have to do is say, we'll match it.
It's true. You put all the work in, but I think the bigger holdup on that, and this is something I didn't realize, let's say I am the Commanders, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put together this 4-year, $200 million fully guaranteed contract. Here you go, Lamar Jackson. It's yours if you want it. The Baltimore Ravens now have 30 days to match that offer. And during that time, the then Commanders would have to account for that $200 million being on their books. That's huge. Because now I can't go out there and I can't sign that free agent. I can't go out there and make any moves. I've got Lamar Jackson money basically tied up in my kitty because I've made an offer to him and I'm waiting for Baltimore now to get back to me, and they have 30 days. So
right,
that's a huge piece of, I think, that a lot of people aren't seeing in this offer being done, especially during this free agency period. Why would you want to tie up that money? And then especially if you're anywhere near a rival of the Baltimore Ravens are going to wait till the last minute to go ahead and match the offer if they're going to do it, or let him walk, you know what I mean, to tie up your money so you can't do anything. So maybe something later happens, but I just feel that there's too much bad blood. But man,
I mean, this has got to happen before the draft, because there's no way after the draft the Ravens are just going to let him walk and not have a real answer at quarterback. I mean,
it might happen during the draft.
I agree with that.
Okay, and that brings me to my other point that I said I wanted to circle back to, gentlemen. My thought around Sutton, Judy, Marquez Callaway, and I said this a few weeks ago, I still think Sutton is a draft day trade. I think that somebody will see him and say, this wide receiver, draft is deep, but how good and deep is it? You know what I mean? And what could we get out of a Cortland Sutton versus what we're getting now, possibly in the second round, late second round, early third round. Maybe we package a couple of picks. We do a third round this year and a fourth round next year, something like that, in order to sweeten the pot and make it feel like a second round pick for the Denver Broncos. And maybe that's something that we can end up doing, especially, depending upon how our draft board sits, what we're capable of doing. So that's my thought. I still feel that way. I think Callaway is a good replacement for Sutton on this roster. It makes him replaceable. And Callaway and Judy could be a fantastic matchup on this field. So, not that I don't want to be one of those Cortland Sutton haters that he's talking about, saying he's underappreciated on his Twitter feed. Because I do appreciate Cortland Sutton. Like I said, he played like a $4 million and a $5 million wide receiver, like he got paid the last 2 years. But now this year it's $14 million. And I need him to play like a $14 million receiver this year. If he goes out there and he plays like he played the last couple of years, then what are we paying for? We need to, now we're stuck holding the kitty, I guess you could say, holding the boot, whatever it happens to be. So
the thing for me too is you're going to have Sutton and Patrick who are getting paid big, and if you're going to be in 12 a lot, one of them's on the bench if Judy's not on the field. You're going to have, and then you got Callaway, Hamler probably will be back, Virgil. They might draft a wide receiver. You're going to have a big name guy that's on the bench that also isn't going to play special teams.
Yeah, and I hear that you're going to be in 12 personnel, but 12 personnel works well when you're dictating or you're winning the game. If you find yourself behind, if you're trying to move down the field before the end of the half, that does change. You do need to have, a diverse core of wide receivers on the, and you don't want your third to be, just fall off the map either, I guess is the best way to put it, So I forget about Tim Patrick. I didn't even mention Tim Patrick though.
I think it's a salary dump more than anything. If you can get a 3 or a 4, it's dumping the salary. Agreed.
It's a salary dump for sure. So, well, geez, gentlemen, we went all the way down to like Baltimore Ravens, back to back into Cortland Sutton talk. We've been all over the map. We've had a little flavor of everything. And speaking of a little flavor of everything, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, and that's Willow Seasonings and Blends. Willow Seasonings and Blends is your, oh yeah, give it up. They have all your rubs. They have all your sauces. It's still March, so they have their March Madness sale going on for $7 rubs, $9 sauces, $50 orders, plus gets you free shipping. And I'm telling you guys, this is a fantastic company. You can find them all up and down the Colorado range there. Stores all up and down. Dave Slade, he's a fantastic guy. He's the one who runs it. He's also in the comment board. So if you're looking for where to find it and you're maybe near your local city, just hit us up in the comments. I'm sure he'll let us know as well. So that being said, willowseasonings.com, that's willowseasonings.com, is one of those places that ships all around the country, all around the world. They'll get you taken care of. It'll end up on your doorstep, and you'll be pleasing your family, your friends, your loved ones. Every meal, any dish, I'm telling you, there's almost a place for this award-winning, Colorado-based, veteran-owned, Denver Bronco loving company. Let them spice up your life over at Willow Seasonings and Blends. Head over to willowseasonings.com. Check them out. I'm telling you, award-winning. First place last year. They did their barbecue competition this year. They took 4th and 6th in their very, very first year trying to do a barbecue competition. Completely different than when you just send your spices in and say, hey, this is a really good spice. This is what I do well. Go ahead and tell me what you think. And they come back and they say, oh, you're number one. Another thing when you have to go out there and you're like, hey, I need to put this on the meat, make sure the meat's perfect, make sure it's cooked perfect, make sure it's grilled perfect, serve it perfect, get the right cut, the whole 9 yards. Okay, we'll still take 4th place, man. It's that number one seasoning that's right on top of it, though. Hey, he says, hey, check this out. He's in Arizona now. Now he's expanding into multi-state regions as well. So that's awesome. It's getting you all taken care of in the West now. So, but we'll get all orders shipped when I return on Fridays. Oh, he's in Arizona right now. He's down there checking out the league meetings probably. Give us the inside scoop, Dave. All right, very good. So maybe a little bit of a delay in some shipping is all he's letting us know of. But hey, get your orders in. Get it coming. He'll get it out as soon as possible. You'll be enjoying all your dishes with some Willow Seasonings and Blends from Willow Seasonings and Blends over at willowseasonings.com. So got Chad Jensen jumping in here. Chad Jensen saying, "Sup, dude? Sup with you, buddy? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you jumping in the chat, bud." And by the way, really, really excited for Bridge the Gap. I need to get my order in for that album because I know that you said, hey, you'll make a little scribble on there too. So let me know how I should get it done and the best way to do it. Oh, look at showing off his CD already. Probably already got it queued up in the Durango, the Bronco Durango, cruising the streets of Kansas City, blaring some awesome Broncos punk music out as Durango, windows down from Bridge the Gap. I hope to be, but I want the album version though, so I doubt I'll be cruising around with the album version. Maybe I'll just show it off out the window, you know what I mean? All the neighbors, you know what I mean? So
there were people who had a record player in their car in the early days.
They did have a record player that went in the car. Actually, there's an old advertisement with Muhammad Ali showing it off at one point. So that being said, I'm going to digress. David Slade just saying that he and Peyton are going to have dinner tonight, which is awesome to hear. Of course, laughy face at the end of that, but hope you're enjoying Arizona, Dave. And then, guys, have a great rest of the show. I got to finish packing for New Jersey. See you guys soon. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for jumping in here. You have a good night as well. And that was Kenny. So appreciate it, Kenny. Have a good night, guys. And hey, Bridge the Gap is rad, man. You got to, if anybody hasn't checked it out, my wife, I was actually playing a little Bridge the Gap in the background, and she's like, hey, that's awesome. I love this song. She's listening a little bit later in the song. She goes, wait, is that guy from that podcast you listen to? I'm like, yeah, that is. So that's Chad Jensen over at Mile High Huddle. Check him out. So, all right, gentlemen. I don't know how much we'll get to because our show is getting a little bit long in the tooth. I know we have one segment we'll get to, but here at near the end of the show, I'm just going to check my notes here real quick and see anything else that I just want to make sure that we want to hit. Oh, season ticket holders, gentlemen. Season ticket holder surveys went out, and a few things came back. They said, hey, where would you want your stadium to be? Things like in its current location, in the Northeast from Denver, Southeast, Northwest, Southwest. What traditions are most important, as they were talking about, obviously, you know, whether we're talking about, you know, running the field with our horse at, I forget the name of our horse, you know, at the end at each touchdown. Thunder, thank you. Or Miles, you know, and his place in Broncos lore, I guess you could say. And also, what does an authentic Colorado stadium look like? I guess part of when I was reading through the questionnaire was there was a lot of things that weren't necessarily Denver-based, but Colorado-based. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. And I don't know if that has anything to do with, I know an idea that Jody had. Unfortunately, if you put a new Denver Broncos stadium out by Denver International Airport and it moves outside of Denver city limits, are they still the Denver Broncos? Big question if you end up moving the stadium. But what were your guys' thoughts, I guess, just regarding the survey? Jody, I'll throw it over to you. Did you have a chance to look it over and some of the questions that they had out there as well?
Yeah, I think the big thing is I mean, yes, they're loaded with money, but I still think that they didn't get all that money from paying for everything. So they're still going to try to get people they're the taxpayers to support this.
lot of talk about PSLs as well. So, which would be something new for Broncos country, having that I guess tax on your seat is the best way I could put it as a ticket holder. So,
I'm on both sides of the fence. If you build it out by DIA, there's a lot of land out there, and you can kind of make whatever you want to call it, Broncos World, where they'll build motels and restaurants, and I mean, you're gonna have basically a little city of just Denver Broncos out there.
could be a really cool place, man. And you see how cities are doing large build outs. Obviously, LA was a great example of that, and just everything they incorporated.
Like Jerry's World, I mean,
Jerry's World is also Jerry's World is another great example. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And if it gets close to the Denver airport, now you're flying into the Denver airport, so why not keep it calling Denver Broncos?
I agree, man. It's just for some people, it's the fact that they're no longer in actually Denver at that point. They're not even in Denver County at that point. They're in a different county. If you get right down to it. So it was just something that kind of caught my eye. There was a lot of things that were just kind of, thought it was interesting, but I'm excited for what everything that the Penner Group is doing. We're putting in the 4th largest video replay board in NFL stadiums is being put into our current Mile High Stadium. So that's fantastic. They're already looking on upgrading the whole experience in the current stadium. We're still 5 to 6 years out by most people's estimates before we even really start seeing anything as far as a new stadium.
The lease is they have it leased for like 9 more years or something, I think.
Yeah, like anything, I'm sure if you want to pay to break out of your lease, you can do just about anything. Right. It might be like these NFL contracts that were, well, after 5 years, there's a good buyout, so, we might be looking down that, or maybe we're 5 to 6 years down the road before we even start planning before an eventual 9-year lease is up and we go into that building, because it'll take 1 year to 2 years to build it all out.
And one thing they said when they build this stadium, you build it big enough for you attract like the Super Bowl, Final Four.
Correct.
I mean, tons of other big sporting events that currently Mile High, as it sits right now, it's not big enough for.
Yeah, and it's not the right venue for, and the NFL doesn't like an outdoor stadium for a Super Bowl anymore, and there's just a lot of things that you can incorporate. You could have that retractable roof and the whole 9 yards, make everyone happy. I would keep it open until it's the Super Bowl and then close it. Not just me personally, but that being said,
or when the temperatures drop below freezing.
Nope, I keep it open. That's all about playing in the Mile High. That's an advantage there, buddy. We need to keep that rolling. So, no, I digress, man. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that are happening from top to bottom through Broncos country. We talked about offseason. We talked about now the stadium. We talked about ownership. We talked about new players. We talked about new coaches. It just continues to get bigger and bigger and better and better. Just like all our fans who've been jumping in as well all night long. And for everyone, we have one last segment that we need to debut. One last big segment. I think this is going to be a little fun one. We're going to have this every week as well, I believe. So without further ado, please kick it off right now. Well, welcome to Knopper's Knowledge with Albert Knoppers. Now fully in costume, with his graduation cap on and everything. Valedictorian Knoppers.
Yep.
Why don't you kick us off, buddy? What do you got for us this evening with a little bit of Knopper's knowledge?
So this is how it goes. I have 5 or 6 clues for you guys. And between every clue, anybody can respond to it and see if they can guess it.
Okay.
And if I'm out of clues and nobody has it, I will reveal the player.
All right. I'll watch the comment board. I'll let everyone play along at home as well. We got some viewers out there already already queued up and ready to go for a little bit of Nopper's knowledge. Give us clue number 1 then.
Okay, clue number 1. Pre-draft, he was 5'11", 7/8", and 202 pounds. And now he comes in at 6'1" and 207 pounds.
Any guesses, Jody?
I'll need clue 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna. My first. Do I only get one guess and then I'm out of this game?
No. You can guess.
Okay.
Guess.
I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson.
Eh,
Yeah. Okay. That is incorrect. So we're already out on Russell Wilson. On to number 2.
Okay. He runs the 40-yard dash in 4.4 seconds.
Jody, I'm going to defer to you first, buddy.
Bryce Young.
Nope.
These are current Broncos, though, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, current Broncos.
Sorry.
Nope.
Sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah, current Broncos. So I'll let you change your answer. Michael Ronquillo comes in for our first guess. He's saying Jerry Jeudy.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Okay. I will give you 2 clues now.
No, wait. I'm going to give Jody another clue since he had his Bryce Young, which is obviously not correct. Do you have another guess, Jody, or do you want to go to clue number 3?
Jalen Virgil.
Nope.
All right. Clue number 3.
I will give clue number 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, 3 and 4 coming to rapid fire here. Jody,
Okay.
Are you ready?
He has 3 brothers, and all of them played football at a collegiate level. And he attended high school in Texas.
Ooh. Jody, any guesses?
I'm drawing a blank.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Pat Surtain.
Nope.
No. Oh, yeah.
Okay, next clue. He started all 13 games as a true freshman for his college in Oklahoma State.
Jared Stidham.
Nope.
No.
I will give the last clue. He was
you're a stumper, man. He's got some knowledge. Go ahead, sir.
So he was a Big 12 Freshman of the Year in 2018.
Matt Henningsen.
Nope.
I don't know.
It is a defense player, so that's you got it.
At least I got on the right side of the ball. All right. Anybody else out there and our viewers got any ideas? Holy cow! Give me a.
Michael Ronquillo has it.
Caden Stearns, man, congratulations! Wow.
Yep.
All
Caden
right.
Stearns.
Caden Stearns. So give us all those one more time, buddy.
Okay, so Caden Stearns attended Steele High School in Cibolo, Texas.
Okay.
And Stearns' older brother Jordan was a star two-way player in high school, and would later play at Oklahoma State University. And during Caden Stearns' career at high school, he had 235 tackles and 11 interceptions. And he was selected to play in the 2018 U.S. Army All-American Bowl, and he won also the Pete Dawkins Trophy.
Nice, buddy.
And he is a 5-star recruit. Stearns originally committed to play with college football at Louisiana State University before he switched to the University of Texas at Austin. Like I said, he played all 13 games as a true freshman at Texas in 2018. and he was also the Big 12 Defensive Freshman of the Year, and was named the first team All Big 12 after recording 62 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 1 sack. And that was in his first year. And then he played 9 games in his sophomore year in 2019, finishing with 59 tackles and 1 sack. And on November 30th, he declared to go to the draft for 2021 and opted out for the remainder of the game. And so far with the Broncos, he has in total of 49 tackles and a couple intersections. So, yeah, he's doing very well. He was drafted in 21 as the 152nd overall pick.
Very good, sir. Very good. Well done. And congratulations to Michael Ronquillo, too, man. Finally got it for us. Got the monkey off our back, man. You had us all stumped, man. Great little bit of Knoppers knowledge for everyone. Appreciate that, man. Judge Jody, Knoppers knowledge. Expect that on a weekly basis now. Appreciate you guys having a couple of great segments lined up for us this evening. So
it was fun.
It was a lot of fun, man. I'll be honest, man. When you told me you wanted to do like someone that was currently on the Broncos, I'm like, oh, you're going to make this so easy, man. Jody's going to knock it out of the park in like no time flat, man. Had us stumped, had all our viewers stumped, man. Thank goodness for Michael Ronquillo. He didn't let it go to the final buzzer. Didn't have to let Albert let the cat out of the bag at the very end. We actually got a right answer. So again, congratulations, Michael, man. That's good job, man, knowing your players. But, of course, Michael is that type of guy. So, gentlemen, I think just one last question before I get off here, man. We talked a lot about free agency, all the moves we've made, all the, all the holes we've filled. But there's probably still a few left. We'll jump it back over to Jody since we just got off of Knoppers knowledge. Jody, what should be the focus in the NFL draft for the Denver Broncos? I mean, we even saw where we had, we got a. I just want to back up real quick. A lot of people talked about the O-line. We addressed the O-line a ton. Powers, McGlinchey. We also had, reports coming out that, hey, Lloyd Cushenberry's our guy. And we went out and we got somewhat of a backup signed, though he has very few starts, very little NFL playing time. We did go out and we did get the center from Seattle as well. So that all being said, like I said, the Broncos have been aggressive. We talked about that all show. Where does the focus need to be?
I still think in the middle. O-line, D-line, O-line depth, D-line. Got to get a pass rusher, I think. I think you're okay at starter, but how much can you trust Randy Gregory to be healthy all year? What kind of improvements are you going to see from Nick Bonito? So I think right there. And then I think you got to get another running back. You have Samaje Perine and Tony Jones Jr.
That's right. Tony Jones. Yep.
And Javonte Williams, but I'm kind of, until you see him back and ready to go, I'm really expecting nothing. I'm not just going to say day one he's getting 30 carries, and that's not realistic.
Yep.
I like Samaje Perine. I just don't think if you're going to be running the ball a lot, I don't know that he's a 3-down back.
Mm-hmm. You
need somebody, he's great out of the backfield and can catch, but I would like them to address that position. And depth is just fill some depth positions.
Yeah. Like you said, we have some good starters in some positions, but depth is a concern. Doesn't look like we're the deepest team, but we may be formidable out the gates. So, Albert, your thoughts? Focus on the draft.
So focus on the draft. We definitely need another edge rusher. Even if it is one in the draft and maybe not ready to play immediately, but keep him in the hopper. A cornerback, I think we're still a little thin on cornerbacks, even although we have a couple good ones. But if something happens, what then? And then, some depth on the O-line. I don't think that Cushenberry is going to be the starter. He does not fit the scheme. So the guy from Seattle is probably going to be the starter, and I think we either need another rotating tackle or a center, but something like that needs to happen.
That's fair, man. A lot of focus on that line. You know, for me, I think a lot of things are going to happen in this draft, and I think we're going to be precision. We're going to be very tactical, because I think what's going to end up happening is we may not even end up with as many picks as we have right now in this year's draft. I could very well see us trading for even next year's picks with some teams. I think we'll have to be very strategic, very tactical in our picks, and I think if we are, then we'll be trading back, or we'll be trading into next year's draft with our draft picks. I could see us moving around a lot, but I don't see us moving up. I see us moving back, and maybe even into next year. And like I said, don't be surprised if like a Cortland Sutton trade comes through as well. I'm really, I just, I don't know, have a gut feeling on this one, guys. That's certainly a possibility. I like Court, great guy. When I was down at training camp, couldn't have been a nicer guy. You know, the way he interacted with the fans and the whole nine. So I have nothing against him. Loved what he did in 2019, I think it was 2020. But it's been a couple of years since, I guess that would have been 2021. But it's been a couple of years, you know. It's time for him to get back to form, and that's what I'd like to see if he comes back. But I just have a feeling the Broncos have plans to possibly move him come draft day. So saw a lot of that last year. So
I agree. They're trying to recruit picks from everything that they gave up with acquiring Russ. So if you can flip one pick to get two, that's what they're going to try to do now.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Well, gentlemen, a little bit longer than normal. Not the 2 hours that Jody makes fun of me on, but a little bit long. But you know, I'll give you guys a little bit of an opportunity since Jody likes to laugh at me. Maybe I'll put him up on the screen first. And Jody, just some closing thoughts, and maybe what you have, what your thoughts are for Broncos country in this next week before we get on the air. How's that?
Just excited for the draft. See if they pick up any more, role players. Really like what Sean Payton. I mean, he's kind of been trolling down at the owner at the league meetings. When he quoted yesterday, or maybe even today, whenever it was. This year, we played tackle football. Last year we didn't practice tackle football. This year we're gonna practice tackle football.
Right.
He's just been witty with some of his comments and trolling, and really excited to see how this plays out. I mean, the ownership gave this team everything they needed, from a top-notch coach all the way down, and hope it all comes together. So I'm really, I'm really anxious to see what happens in the draft and where we go from there.
Yeah. I think I heard it was 30 days, man. So final plans being made by Broncos personnel, staff, George Payton, all those scouts. They're putting everything together, and it's building to a crescendo as it seems like free agency doesn't slow down. Albert, your thoughts as we leave the Denver Bronco Roundup at Broncos country, and all our fantastic fans who are in here commenting tonight and questioning as well. What do you have for them, buddy?
Congratulations, Michael, with getting the right character, right player. I hope that you will have a pretty easy week from now on, Keith, and that your employees will be back, and that we all will have a nice and happy week until the next show. And I think it's going to be probably a little bit quiet on the trading front for the Broncos. I think they are now going to focus on the draft like you said. And yeah, when we see each other again, I will be a year older, so it's going to be
Oh,
good.
very good. Well, a little happy birthday then. A little early happy birthday, since I'll have a belated one next time I probably actually see you on screen here, buddy. So,
Hmm.
happy birthday to you, man.
Thanks.
Any big plans for the birthday that you know of?
Yeah, so we are part of a choir. So on Friday we are doing an Easter cantata. So I'm looking forward to that.
Very good, sir. Very good. You enjoy your birthday, man. Enjoy
I
your
will.
birthday. Very good.
Yes, happy
Um,
early birthday.
yeah, absolutely. Happy early birthday to Knopper's knowledge. You know, star Albert Knoppers. Appreciate you, buddy. Always,
Thanks.
man.
Thank you.
Um, Real quick, I just got a little side conversation happening over in our chat bar. Michael Ronquillo saying his Bridge the Gap CD is on its way, to where Chad Jansen says, rock on. And, of course, Michael Ronquillo says, rock on, Chad. So, Chad, if you want to tell us anybody here on the Denver Bronco Roundup how they can get your awesome CD, I'd love to plug it a little bit, including myself, because, again, I'd like to get that with a little signature on it as well. And, hey, Chad Jensen says, happy early birthday, Albert. So, going right to you, right from Chad, buddy. That's pretty nice. So, appreciate our listeners, watchers, subscribers, obviously jumping in here, giving all our wishes, having all your comments, having all your questions. Of course, again, guys, we're brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network every single week. Appreciate you guys jumping on to see our podcast, but checking out everything that they have going on over there. They're breaking on all their news all the time.
So I just saw something. Cortland Sutton will be traded on Saturday.
according to
I saw it here, the Denver Broncos website.
okay, possibly some breaking news, man.
It's early April Fools.
Oh, ha ha ha. Yeah,
Womp, womp, womp.
made me the fool. I was like, what? I saw you like all cued in. You're all doing the googly eyes up there, the whole 9 yards, and I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, Albert. Thanks a lot. By the way, head over to bridgethegapmerch.com. That's bridgethegapmerch.com. You can check out Secret Combinations, debut album by Bridge the Gap. I'm telling you guys, rockin' album, top to bottom. They've been releasing their singles for about a month now. I've been enjoying every single one of them, but check them out, man. Literally, great music, man. Takes me back. Really appreciate it. And, they just don't get, I always tell my kids, because I'm getting old now, I always tell my kids that, there's not like bands anymore where the drummer means something and the bassist means something, not just the lead singer. You know what I mean? There's so many acts where it's just the lead singer anymore. Bridge the Gap is an awesome band. Go check them out. Get your punk on, man. I'm telling you, it's a fantastic album. Anyway, we got to get out here. What I was talking about before my early April Fool's joke was the amazing Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Go check them out. They're on Facebook. They're on YouTube. They're on Instagram. They're on Twitter. They keep you up to date on all your Colorado sports. They've been on point with all the breaking news that's been happening, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, you name it. Maybe even have breaking news of a Cortland Sutton trade, like Albert's early April Fools. They might have that already as well. That's how quick they report things. They might have to put it up and take it down already. So, but honestly, guys, we really appreciate you guys supporting the Denver Bronco Roundup. I appreciate all the comments, appreciate all the questions, appreciate you guys as viewers, watchers, subscribers. We like to continue to grow, and we really appreciate your support. We appreciate you guys jumping in here and making it fun for everybody, making Keith's bad week at work, as Albert alluded to, a little bit better, because it's always a little bit better when we're talking about Broncos and Denver Broncos country. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate Albert. Appreciate Jody. Appreciate the new segments. But like I said, I appreciate our viewers. And I think with that, guys.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Should we get out of here until next week, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m.? The DBR will be back, and we will see you guys then. Appreciate you guys joining us. Have a great week.